Danjo Danahichone. Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Apache Stealth. Tonight's story, The Mask, by unknown author and told by D'akhenya Montoya. When Burro was very young and had started school away from the Valley of the Seven Warriors, he began to learn the many differences in the cultures. When October arrived, Burro learned they had a holiday called Halloween. He was asked by the teacher to bring a costume to class and had to ask her what that was. After school, Burro asked his mother, Thema, what should he wear. He was debating between the Casper the Friendly Ghost mask and the Heckle and Jekyll, two popular characters from the morning cartoons. Grandfather Quedeca heard all his grandchildren trying to decide which mask they were going to wear. Deciding what mask to wear is important, said Grandfather. Choosing the wrong mask can make you a prisoner to it for the rest of your life. They all looked at each other as they were sitting around the fire pit in the new town. I will tell you all I know about masks, said Grandfather as he sat down in his chair. Long ago, when Mother Earth was still young and many of the grandfather stones were still soft, Hoss'kee'yee became the greatest warrior among all men. As you can imagine, many of the young warriors wanted to kill Hoss'kee'yee. They thought by killing him, they would instantly become great warriors themselves without having to go through years of training and fighting battles. Even in those long ago days, some people wanted glory and respect without having to earn it. Many things were different back then. No one owned anything, so there was nothing to steal. It was easy to hunt. Food was everywhere, and it was very rare to hear of anyone going hungry. There really wasn't much for people to do back then but find wives, have children, and hunt. The women were great at making all the things a family would need. The warriors were skilled at making tools. It was easy for people to multiply like rabbits. Many villages began to grow and people began to scatter across Mother Earth. This meant that every day, more and more young warriors were climbing up the mountain to battle with Hoss'kee'yee. What they didn't realize was, the more they came, the better at battle Hoss'kee'yee got. These daily battles made Hoss'kee'yee bigger, stronger, and more difficult to kill. No one likes doing the same thing from sunup to sunset. Hoss'kee'yee grew weary of fighting more and more young warriors, especially those with little or no training. Finally, one day, Hoss'kee'yee decided to see how many young warriors he could scare away without having to fight them. When the first young warrior reached the top of the cliff, Hoss'kee'yee stomped his foot. He bobbed his head up and down like the buffalo. He growled like the bear, and without thinking, he stuck his tongue out at the young warrior. The young warrior saw the battle-scarred Hoss'kee'yee with his tongue hanging out and ran faster than a mountain goat. This was the first time Hoss'kee'yee had laughed in a very long time. He laughed so hard tears ran from his eyes. The young warrior was afraid. He fell down the mountain trying to get away from the sound of the crazy man barking like an animal. When the next young warrior found his courage to climb the mountain and had reached the cliff, Hoss'kee'yee did the same thing. This time, Hoss'kee'yee stuck his tongue out as far as it would go. The young warrior lost his nerve and also ran down the mountain the same way as the first. Hoss'kee'yee discovered that making faces to scare off young warriors was easier than doing battle. He began to practice making faces. He practiced making horrible growling sounds with ferocious postures. One by one, Hoss'kee'yee made young warriors run down the mountain. At night, the young warriors even had nightmares of Hoss'kee'yee chasing them around their village. It didn't take long for these young warriors to gather together to console themselves. They told their frightening stories, and Hoss'kee'yee's wicked legend grew even more. Winter was coming to an end, and spring brought the wonderful berries to eat. Hoss'kee'yee was fighting less and less battles now, so he went down the mountain to his favorite waterfall near a beautiful meadow. There by the falls, Hoss'kee'yee saw the most beautiful woman in the world. He was almost speechless by her beauty, but his courage didn't fail him. As quick as a mountain lion, Hoss'kee'yee leapt on a rock, beat his chest, and said, "I am Hoss'kee'yee." The woman took one look at the scarred man, and from fear ran away. She had never seen such a big, ugly, and ferocious man in her life, especially one whose tongue stuck out so far. When Hoss'kee'yee saw how frightened the beautiful woman was of him, his heart was saddened. He knew he was ugly from all the battles, but suddenly he realized that he was so ugly, no woman would ever want him. Hoss'kee'yee climbed the mountain up to a cliff. In his despair and sadness, he threw himself from the cliff. But since Hoss'kee'yee's skin and bones had become so strong from all the battles, all he did was bounce from rock to rock down the mountain. When he landed at the bottom of the cliff, he was dizzy. Then Hoss'kee'yee threw himself into the river, but his lungs had become so strong from all the battles, he just kept popping up in the river like a fishing bobber. The river carried Hoss'kee'yee downstream, and he swam until he reached the east bank. To his surprise, he saw an old woman who was making clay dolls for her grandchildren. The faces on the dolls were so pretty, it gave him a wonderful idea. The old woman was frightened when she first saw Hoss'kee'yee, but after hearing his story of how he scared off the most beautiful woman in the world, she decided to help him. Hoss'kee'yee told her how he wanted a handsome mask to wear over his face so he could marry the most beautiful woman in the world. Feeling sorry for him, the old woman agreed to make him one. When the mask was finished, Hoss'kee'yee walked around for 4 days looking for the most beautiful woman. When he found her, it was almost love at first sight. She told him her name was Edzani, and she fell in love with his strong muscles but gentle touch. Here was the man of her dreams, a man with the maturity of autumn, the strength of winter, the joy of spring, and the harmony of summer. He was a man for all seasons, a man she could spend the rest of her life with. But for all his happiness, he found there was still suffering. Many warriors wanted to marry Edzani and hated Hoss'kee'yee because she wanted him. Many women hated Edzani as Hoss'kee'yee was now handsome, and they wanted him to be the father of their children. Before long, the warriors were making plans to kill Hoss'kee'yee again. They thought it wasn't fair that he was the greatest warrior on Mother Earth, but that now he also had the most beautiful woman on Mother Earth. It wasn't fair that only one man could be blessed with so much, and they were jealous. Day after day, Hoss'kee'yee had to conquer the problems of the day. Being true to his mask, he tried peace first. He never took off his mask. He tried to be honest, kind, cheerful, and a good provider. But like a sore that would never heal, it bothered Hoss'kee'yee to know he was deceiving the one he loved so much. Yet the great warrior of courage was never brave enough to remove the mask until the day he died. Lying on his deathbed, Hoss'kee'yee asked Edzani to remove the mask so he could die as the man he really was. Edzani took off his mask, and with his last breath, he heard her whisper in his ear, "There's no difference between your face and the mask." Like an old moccasin reveals every wrinkle of a foot that wears it, by living a good life, Hoss'kee'yee's terrifying face gradually became an exact fit to the kind, handsome features of the mask. Before Hoss'kee'yee's body had gotten cold, many people ran to the river to make masks for themselves. The men made masks of a Hoss'kee'yee, while the women made masks of Edzani. Those people were never happy with their imperfections, and they passed it along to their children, becoming lonesome spirits. So ashamed of their imperfections, they hid from the sun. Now, much time has passed from those long ago days. Life has progressed. People have become so civilized that everywhere is a mask to enhance this or to conceal that. But no one has a mask for all seasons. That mask is one you must earn every day, all by yourself, just as Hoss'kee'yee did. After Burro heard Grandfather Quedaka's story, he tried to get some clay and make a mask of his grandfather. Burro wanted to be like him. But his skill at clay masks were horrible, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't make a mask that looked like his grandfather's face. Burro threw the clay masks down and came to his own conclusion. "I will earn my own face," said Burro.